Hi everybody, it is Sam again from the G/STEM team. STEM of course standing for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. We've got another STEM activity video for you guys today. This time we're actually going to be showing you how to make OoBLOCK. We're going to be talking a little bit about its properties along with some properties of both liquids and solids. OoBLOCK is actually a very simple thing to make. It actually only involves two ingredients, cornstarch and water. So let's go over how to make OoBLOCK first, and then we'll talk about some of the cool scientific properties that it has. So the materials you're going to need for today's activity are some cornstarch, about a cup. You're going to want a 1/2 to 2/3 cup of water. Optionally, you're going to want some food coloring if you want to change the color of your OoBLOCK. You're going to want a bowl to be mixing in, something to mix with like a spoon. And you're also going to want to take some precautions as this can get a little messy. So I've got some wax paper laid down and I have some paper towels. So to make our OoBLOCK, we're going to combine our ingredients together. We're going to take our cup of cornstarch and put it into our mixing bowl. And then we are going to add in our water. It's actually best to kind of mix in your water slowly. So I'm going to add a little bit at a time. And mix. The great thing about OoBLOCK is you can always add water or cornstarch as you need it. So definitely need some more. I'm actually going to put in a couple drops of food coloring as well, make it a little bit easier to see. I'm going to continue to mix. Starting to feel pretty good. It can be kind of tough to mix. It's a good idea to take it slow. If you mix quickly, you might end up with cornstarch or even food coloring everywhere. So definitely take it kind of slow. I can already feel as I'm mixing it some of the weird properties of OoBLOCK, and one of the reasons that we make it is it's so different, it's so cool how it compares to other materials in science. So I think this is good. I don't think I'm going to need to add any more water. So I'm actually going to move this out of the way. And I think we're going to talk about some properties here in a second as I continue to mix. So, some of the cool things about OoBLOCK is it is what is called a non-Newtonian fluid, which means it doesn't act necessarily the way other fluids do. When we think about fluids, we're thinking about liquids and gases. OoBLOCK in particular has some properties of liquids. When we think about liquids, some of the properties we think of is that it flows, it moves from one spot to another. The other great thing about liquid is it takes the shape of the container it is in. So you can see when I pour water into my container here, or this OoBLOCK into this container, it fills the container. It takes its shape. If I pour water into a perfectly spherical glass, it will become a sphere. Solids, on the other hand, some properties of solids, they don't do that, right? If I took a pen and put it into this container, it doesn't flow and become the shape of that container. It stays the shape it started in. Now, some of the weird things about OoBLOCK is that it actually has some properties of both solids and liquids. So I'm going to actually take a little bit of OoBLOCK out. And you can see I can actually almost kind of roll it up into a ball. The crazy thing about OoBLOCK, and the reason why we call it a non-Newtonian fluid, is because when you apply pressure to it, you actually increase the viscosity of it. Viscosity is how quickly a fluid flows. So for example, water is very viscous. It flows very quickly back and forth, while something thicker like honey